maybe you're not compatible because hey, what's going on? This is Jsean. This is another video for the Jsean Speaks playlist. Today I wanted to talk about wanted to touch on like some relationship things, and I'm going to keep this one kind of simple and hopefully straight to the point. The question I have is, and hopefully I have somewhat of a, not really an answer or direct answer, because only you'll know the best answer that works for you in your circumstances. But these are my opinion based on my experiences and me seeing other people's experiences. So with that being said, how do you know when you have the right person, right? So that's a very broad question, and it's kind of hard to answer. So I'm going to try to answer that with some examples of when you have maybe some red flags, I would say. And red flags would equate to incompatibility issues. So for example, my sign is a Scorpio, right? And people generally say that Scorpios are very clingy, very loyal, all kind of in that same direction. Just say those are truths about you. Just say that happens to be your personality traits. So for example, if they would say that I am a loyal person, they would say that I am a, what's the other word? A caring person, a protector, that type of thing. If you were in a relationship and that was your personality, the way that you would kind of know that there's some incompatibility issues that may be actually hard to work past, and in my mind there's a simple reason for it. So example, you have a guy and a girl. The girl goes out with their friends or her friends, or she goes to a club, a dinner, whatever the case is, just very innocent, right? And the man calls and says, everything okay? How you doing? You know what I mean? What time you coming home? Now, it all depends on your perspective and how you look at that man. So if the man is saying it in an obnoxious way and ask every 5 minutes after you already answered that question or those questions, then yeah, there's something obviously wrong there, where to the point where it's a little creepy, and he's obviously a type of person who's insecure and so on, right? But if you know that man and you know that that is not his character, but he asks you something general like, are you okay? You know, what time you coming home? And if you take it that way, maybe you're not compatible, because if he is genuinely asking because he cares for you and is just worried and concerned about your safety, and he doesn't do it overbearingly, you know, like ask you every 5 seconds, but he's genuinely just asking you. And the first thing that you think is, man, why does he keep clocking my time? Why does he keep checking on me? And then you start talking trash about him to your female friends or whoever that's there, to play him off as a type of person who is just very too clingy. And the simple answer that I have for an example like that would be, if it was genuine on his end, I'm not saying if he could be a creep, you know what I'm saying? But you have to pay attention to other things to determine that for yourself. So look at it like, if it was genuine and he was simply asking you because he cared for you, right? If you cared for him on the same level, then you would understand where he was coming from and you would answer freely and not feel threatened or smothered by his questions. You get what I'm saying? So if he loves you this high, and I don't feel like there's levels of love either. You either love or you don't, but just say for the sake of the video, his level of love is this high and yours is like right here. So when he asks you a question like, how are you doing? Are you okay? And he's genuinely just concerned about you and you're down here, you may be like, man, why is he so overbearing? Why does he keep asking me all these questions and clocking my time? But if you cared for him exactly the same as he cared for you, when he asked you that, you'd be, there would be no hesitation in you answering that question for him, because you know that you don't want him to worry, and you know that he's asking you because he simply cares for you. So hopefully that makes sense to anybody. I'm mainly gearing that towards that example, which is a male and a female looking at it a certain way, because I mean, personally, that's actually happened to me at times where they would think that would mean that, and if that person cares for me the same or cares for you the same, they would understand where you're coming from. And if they don't, then obviously you're on two different wavelengths. You're not, your frequencies aren't matching up. And to me, those are disasters for the future, because it's just like one little thing leads to another thing, and then you'll start noticing how much some stuff like that you don't match, you can work on, or you can have other things that will trump that issue because it's not as important as other things that you do have connection with. You know what I'm saying? So those are things that if you want something out of your relationship, whether you're the male or the female side, you shouldn't settle. I feel like there's things that you just want from a person. Just like when you go get a job, there's certain benefits that you want from that job. There's a certain type of pay. There is maybe you don't like to travel far, but the pay is so great that it may outweigh that difference. Just like a relationship, maybe one thing you kind of wish was better, but you know, this person, whether it be the male or the female, has something else going on so well that it kind of compensates for it, you know. And you have to look at it like that, because when you're in a relationship, you know, you're giving yourself in a sense and receiving somebody to a point where you should be happy. There should be no compromises to a point where you're going to regret it later. And this is the whole point, in my opinion, of dating. I know some people will meet somebody and they will eliminate the entire playing field because they feel like they want to be loyal to that person. But in my opinion is that you need to experience to understand what you really want, what you can really deal with and not deal with. And then when you find that balance, then you'll find somebody that you can grow with. And that's just my opinion on that. Like I said, nobody can actually tell you to break up or not to break up, because no matter what you want, you can have all your friends telling you he or she is not a good person. And at the end of the day, you might still actually be with that person because it's not enough for you to make a decision. You're going to feel like those couple things that person does possess are things you don't want to lose. So you have to kind of just weigh out the pros and the cons with any situation, it could be anything. It doesn't even have to be a relationship. You just have to approach things like that. You want more pros than cons for sure. And some of the cons you can live with and some of them you just can't. You know what I mean? So, and I hate to balance relationships with material things, but in a way, when you make those type of decisions, when you're not getting the perfect vehicle you're shopping for, you have to have pros and cons, and hopefully those pros outweigh the cons, or you deal and settle with certain things that you're just going to have to because maybe you can't afford the car with all the features that you want. In a relationship, I think it's a little different because unless you're going into the mindset with going into a relationship of it's temporary, then yes, you can deal with things, in my opinion, that are things that you wanted but they don't possess or have, in a sense. I'm not talking about material things, but just in their character. And if you're thinking long term, as you should in any type of relationship, then you should be thinking, if these are things that I just need to have, then they're things that I need to have. And if you don't have it, then we're not ready to take that step into being in a relationship. So if you're already in a relationship and you question a lot of these things, don't be the type of person who constantly regrets it and then you stay in a relationship to sacrifice or to hold it together for certain reasons, whatever those reasons are. You could even be married and you're thinking about the children. You have to think about the way you behave is based on how you feel about the person and yourself in that situation. If you're not happy, it will show. And even if you have children, that's my timer, so I don't overtalk too much. Sorry, it's going off. It's your life at the end of the day. And even if you're doing it for your kids or for a different reason or whatever the case is, sometimes you have to cut your losses. And at the end of the day, you have to worry about what's good for you. And if you are worried about something like kids, if you're that old or you're in that type of situation, look at it like, what type of example are you setting for your kids when they have an issue with their relationship and they're not happy, and you tell them as a mother or father or whatever, like, don't deal with that. And they're going to say, well, you did, you know what I'm saying? And everything worked out fine for you, not knowing that the internal hurt and pain that you were dealing with and covering up for all those years. So you have to be cautious of that if you're an older individual or if you're somebody who has a family or anything like that, of taking that type of step. And if you're younger, you have the whole world in front of you, and I don't think you should settle. Especially, it's so weird because I see a lot of young people who fall in love so quick and they just feel so attached to people when they haven't even given their chance to explore the world yet. Don't settle for things. Don't settle for anything in life, including especially relationships and stuff like that. Relationships and people that you end up being involved with in a relationship have the power to motivate you or almost kind of destroy you in a sense, because the more love you give, the more vulnerable you are to that person. So you want to make sure that you give your heart to somebody that you truly trust and fits those things that you desire and need as a person, whether you're the male or the female. So you want to be with somebody who lifts you up, not somebody who brings you down, somebody who encourages you, not discourages you, and somebody who just simply understands you. Simply understands you, where you can have a genuine conversation with and work things out. Communication is crazy important. If you don't have communication, your relationship is pretty much nothing. So make sure you have good communication. Make sure you don't settle for things that you know that you need in a relationship, male or female. And if you are, then you have to ask yourself, you could be missing out on somebody who is perfect for you, and vice versa. So think about that, and think about you're the person who has to live with those resentments or regrets or any kind when you are settling with a person. And we're people. These aren't cars that you just trade in that you didn't like the features that came with it. You just get another one later. You shouldn't think like that. You should value yourself and value the person that you're with. Or yeah, that's pretty much it. So hopefully this was kind of helpful. Hopefully this made sense to at least one of you out there on the internet world. And please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification icon for future videos or updates on future videos. And until then, do everything at top level. Till next time.